Councillor Bureau moving the motion. I've got Councillor Burkett seconding the motion.
Oh, I understood. So I can put it on the floor and then have the speaker? Do you want to have the speaker? My apologies on the procedural mix-up. My mistake, and I will own that. So before we move forward, Mr. Bison, thank you. We are going to get Denise Boudreau up to the microphone. Virtual. Let me know when Denise is on. Hi, Denise. So just welcome. I am just letting you know here that we will start the timer of 10 minutes. I don't know if you'll be able to see me. So when I put my hand in the air, because I'm very small on your screen, that will be the 2-minute mark. Please feel free to begin whenever you'd like.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce myself as the National Director of Breakpoint Communities Association. We're a nonprofit association that was formed to promote recovery programs and community safety. So we'll move on to the next slide to speak to the subject matter that James brought up. And I'd like to talk about Moms Stop the Harm and some of the research that we've done that uncovered things that you should know because your community has, at least the previous electorate had signed a resolution in full support of decriminalization. So they are avid supporters of drug user liberation. They have had a national lobbying effort where they went into municipalities all over the country for using that to lobby the government to decriminalize hard drugs. You signed their original resolution, so yes, you're highlighted on their website as superstars. They do break laws under the veil of compassion, and I'll get into the details of that. And I think you've already kind of seen a demonstration of that in Cobourg. So they are part of a wider coalition of radical harm reduction activists that are mainly out of the West. And I think being in Ontario, it's hard for us to know all of these details through 1 or 2 delegations. It's hard to really understand their whole sort of agenda or their backstory because they originate in BC. They are known disruptors and protesters in Alberta and British Columbia, specifically as it pertains to recovery symposiums, the Alberta recovery model, things like this. So next slide, please. This gives you an idea of how they are affiliated with other drug user liberation supporters and some of the activities that they have been taking part in BC. So there's a source there. It's an article that supports the story about this, but Moms Stop the Harm is a very organized, affiliated activist originating in BC. As I said, this story here is about their support for what they call a compassion club. This model is it's where they distribute drugs on the street. In their mind and their vision, these are safe drugs compared to illicit street drugs. And this is their vision. It's what they support. And these are the things that they've done. In particular, DULF, the Drug User Liberation Front. This is an organization that they show outward support for. Members of this particular organization were charged with drug trafficking, and their funding was pulled, but Moms Stop the Harm is still in solidarity with these groups. And so this really needs to be understood because I don't think these are the details that they may have come to council with when that resolution was signed. And so while this campaign was going on for having local councils support this effort, maybe, the details of what was actually happening in the West at the same time were unknowns. So this is just information coming to you now after the fact, but it's kind of a cautionary tale. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the information about the compassion clubs, and this is kind of what they've aspired to. This is something that I'd like to warn you about, because if you continue to support an organization like this or a group like this, they become emboldened and they do these things. And so bringing this to your attention helps you make a more sort of informed decision. And next slide. So having a little bit more information about some of the past sort of performance of this group, I would say that supporting this group is not in the best interest of the community, or at least continuing to support this group is not in the best interest of the community. And I'll go to the next slide. Next slide. So what we recommend basically is in line with what James is requesting. So it's twofold: withdraw support from them, revoke the resolution that you signed for national decriminalization, as that's been revoked in BC as well. And also, I think now would be a good time to commit to recovery-oriented solutions, focusing on public safety and child protection. So that's the end of my delegation. We can go to the next slide, and a little bit of self-promotion. This is who we are, and I hope that the information that I provided was helpful. We have lots of information, but in the span of this delegation, I know I'm probably, and I hope I'm well under the 10 minutes, but I'll leave it there for you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Boudreau. At this point, is there any questions for the presenter? Seeing none, thank you very much. Nice having you on the council, and we will move forward with council discussion. So thank you very much, Ms. Boudreau. At this time, council, we do have a mover and a seconder. Would the clerk like to see the mover and seconder raise their hands for procedural? Thank you. I've got a mover and a seconder. The motion as it stands is on the floor, open for discussion, open for conversation, if there is any at this time. By all means, Councillor Barber.
Just briefly, is it my understanding that the repeal automatic authority to county CAO has been removed at the request of the speaker? Is that true?
No, I can address that if you will. Mr. Larmer, if I missed anything, please correct me. No, the repeal of the automatic authority to the CAO is a very important point, and I appreciate you asking. The reality is I'm going to speak very freely because staff would not be allowed to say what I'm about to say in terms of the reasons for. With very clear words, the reason that we had to allow the CAO at the county to use town assets for emergency encampments is to allow us to avoid the Waterloo ruling. The reality is that this is part of the delegation and the legal explanation to this council regarding how we can hold the upper tier to account. And so without getting into all the legalese and the necessities, that specific rule was put in place by this council in order to take the efforts and actions we have taken to date. And it is this particular bylaw that has allowed us to move forward in a lot of our advocacy for the community of Cobourg, would be the most politically appropriate way to speak to that. If I missed anything, Mr. Larmer, by all means. I understand. So you were asking if it should be removed from the resolution, sir, or were you just asking about it? I've been told I was misunderstood, or I
I was asking at the request of Mr. Bisson that it be removed. He said you can take that out now, as I heard him, and I'm just wondering whether or not we were doing that or not doing it.
Noted. Thank you. Amendments on the floor to remove. Do I have a seconder to that amendment? Thank you. Ah, nice. Perfect. It's off. Thank you for the clarification. No, I was right, correct? Okay, I made a few mistakes. I'm pretty sure I was right on the Robertson rules. Are you, Mr. Bureau, would you like to sit in Mr. Larmer's seat? No, thank you, Mr. Bureau, but no, it is correct. We do have a seconder with Councillor Darling. I'm going to have any questions or concerns. Seeing none, all in favor. Amendment is approved. It will be removed from the original original motion. Get back to the original motion. We see a support. We've heard the presentation. We're asking for a study. At this time, actually, may I pass the, I'm happy to pass the chair over to the Deputy Mayor to make an amendment. I'd like to make an amendment further that. Instead of repealing the town support of MSF resolution and a report back, I'd like to further that we remove that part of the report and instead do that action at the present moment, that we repeal council support of Mom Stop the Harm. We don't need a report on that. I'm happy to put that forward and on the floor.